Congratulations to the New York Knicks on winning their first championship in 53 years. Before I was born. It reminds me a lot of when the Rangers last won the Stanley Cup. They hadn't won in 54 years, and it took the Knicks almost as long, 53 years, to win their championship. But I was watching the parade this morning. Good weather for it. So again, congratulations, New York Knickerbockers. That was the 13th time this year that we scored 8 runs or more against an opponent, which is 17% of the games that we've played. I am the Mets head, talking all things New York Mets, with a recap of Game 74 versus the Reds, in which Nolan McLean matched up against Nick Lodolo. I was happy to see most of my suggested lineup out there. I did think that Semyon should bat 4th, Swaggy should bat 5th, and Alvarez bat 6th. I thought Alvarez should be the DH and Duran should catch, and that's exactly what he did. I understand A.J. Ewing being in center field because they want the defense. I got no problem with that. But then they started Zach Short, which I expect to see that Zach Short is going to be cut on Saturday when Lindor is activated because they don't need another infielder. They could use an outfielder much more. And Zach Short has barely played in the outfield. I don't understand why they even picked up Zach Short to begin with. If he's just going to be cut on Saturday, but then why did you drop Bruhan for him? Short only bats right, only plays the infield. Where Bruhan is a switch hitter and can play the outfield also. Why would you cut the more versatile player who will probably stay on the team when Lindor comes back? Just the fact that he's a switch hitter and can play multiple positions. Infield and outfield. I'm probably making much ado about nothing because when either Polanco comes back or Taylor comes back, they're just going to drop all these extra players, which I'm talking about Wagaman also. I just don't like the nonsense. Why pick up a guy that you're going to drop in 3 days, but you never actually gave Bruhan a chance? Bruhan, I think, maybe should have been the one guy they leave up because of his versatility and the switch hitting. If we look at a comparison of the three of them, Wagaman is clearly the better hitter. He's played less games and he has more hits than all of them. He almost has as many home runs as Short in 50 less games. But look at that. Wagaman's batting .250 for his career compared to the other two batting under the Mendoza line. His on base percentage is the highest, his slugging's the highest, his OPS is the highest. So I guess they want to bat. So the odd man out here, look at the two guys batting so low, are the two guys on the outside. And that's going to be why Wagaman stays, at least until Polanco comes back. Anyway, back to the game. McLean pitched so much better in this game versus Cincinnati compared to his last start on May 25th in New York, when he also matched up against Lodolo. He got the loss after only pitching 3 1/3, giving up 7 runs on 5 hits and 2 walks with 6 strikeouts, leading the Reds to be batting .333 against him with a 1,200 OPS. They had 5 hits and 16 at-bats. 4 of those players are batting 500 or more against them with 2 home runs by J.J. Bleday and Tyler Stevenson. And I was expecting a much better offense output against Lodolo, who had pitched 6 innings against the Mets on May 25th, giving up only 1 run on 6 hits. And even with that good performance by Lodolo, the Mets are still batting .306 against him with an .880 OPS, with home runs by Semien, Soto, and Wagaman, which I was surprised they sat Wagaman when he was 2 for 5 against Lodolo with a home run. So even starting Zach Short didn't make sense. You really should have showed Wagaman. We got on board first in the top of the third. Torrens reached first on an infield single. A number down towards third base with Stewart playing deep. Zach Short then bunted Torrens over to second. Bench grounded out to short, right up the middle. They seem to constantly be positioning that shortstop up the middle and robbing it with hits. Then Lodolo walked Bichette. You're afraid of a single rather than a 3-run shot by Soto? Soto did not look good on his bat. And he reached out for the pitch and just got it over the second baseman's head to put us up 1-0, bringing Semien to the plate, batting fourth last night due to his success against Lodolo. And he singled to bring in Bichette. And then Swaggy V singled to bring in Soto, putting us up 3-0. Glad to see my suggestions working out. Then in the bottom of the third, the Reds struck back. Trevino reached first base safely on an error by Vientos. Zach Short made a good play, and Vientos just whiffed on the catch. Now, I've said in the past that I believe that Vientos is our best defensive first baseman. But I'm not saying he's good at first base. He's just better than the rest. Then McLean doubled. Trevino went to third. Then he hit Arroyo to load the bases. They were like, oh man, here we go again. Bleday then hit a line shot to center field and a great catch by Ewing. Thank goodness he was in the lineup. Trevino scored, but Ewing definitely saved another run. And it was then 3-1 at the end of 3. Lodolo and McLean then retired their next 3 batters in order. And then in the 5th, with 1 out, Bichette got a single to right, giving him 6 consecutive multiple hit games, which was then followed by base hits by Soto and Semien to load the bases for Swaggy V, who got a sac fly, putting us up by 3 runs. And then thank goodness Alvarez gets a hit to knock in another, putting us up 5-1. And then A.J. Ewing hit a ball off the wall for a double, scoring 2 more, putting us up 7-1. And Lodolo was pulled. It was good to see an offensive output, especially by some guys that haven't been hitting lately. Semien, Vientos, Alvarez. Maybe quieting those naysayers who, if he doesn't get a hit one game, that's it, get rid of him. McLean would pitch 7 innings, giving up 1 run, which was unearned because of an error by Vientos, on 3 hits and a walk with 9 Ks. He threw 101 pitches and lowered his ERA to 3.67. Then if you watch my previous video, I suggested with Manaea scheduled as a bulk pitcher that really they should really consider starting Raley or Warren today. But then he used Raley when they were up by 6 runs in the 8th. He gave up 1 hit, lowered his ERA to 2.0, and then he brought in Warren, who gave him a hit and a walk, but no runs, lowering his ERA to 2.63. Basically eliminating 2 very good options for today. Even when we're winning big, Mendoza still screws things up for future games. This is why he should not be a major league manager. These are minor league mistakes. In the top of the 8th, with 1 out, Bench tripled. Joelvi Marte is not cut out to play center field. He doesn't know what to do out there. I'm not sure why they put him out there for his first game in center field, but it should be his last. And Bichette followed up with a single, knocking him in. And of course, Soto, when we're already up by lots of runs and it doesn't count, gets a double to knock in Bichette, putting us up 9-1 for the final score. Soto did go 3 for 5, raising his average up to 297. Bichette also had 3 hits, going 3 for 4, now up to 254. Francisco Alvarez also had 3 hits, raising his average up to 255. That's why he needs to play. We had 15 hits in all. 9 by those 3. Semien went 2 for 4, raising his average to 221. I don't expect to see him in the middle of the lineup very, very much, especially after Lindor comes back. And if Alvarez is hitting, Semien should bat lower. Benj had that hit. Vientos had a hit. Ewing and Durant all had hits. It was good to see such an offensive outpouring. We are now 33-41, 8 games under 500. Still last place in the NL East. 13.5 games behind Atlanta, who no longer have the best record in baseball. They have been surpassed by the Dodgers, who are 1 game ahead of them. And the Braves are now tied with Milwaukee for the 2nd best record in the league. We still have the 7th worst record in baseball. We seem to be hanging around there for a while. Hopefully we can bust out when Lindor comes back, which is the 24th best record in baseball. The Phillies, however, have the 7th best record in baseball. They are 40-34, 6 games over 500. In 2nd place in the NL East, 6.5 games behind Atlanta. I don't know how this next game's going to turn out. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game that's going to go back and forth, and I don't know who's going to win. But with the Phillies having a much better record than us, it's likely they will win. But it's not definite. Nothing's ever definite. Let's go, Mets go. Until next time, I'm Juan Gan.